Welcome to Sabbath School Lesson Catch Up, where we rescue your week from spiritual FOMO. Well, I've heard it all, but worship in the middle of a battlefield? That's a new one. Yet here are the Israelites deep in enemy territory deciding now is the perfect time to circumcise the troops, host a Passover feast, and build an altar. The conquest is in full swing, and there they are setting up a divine sanctuary. It just goes to show no matter how crazy your schedule gets, sometimes you just have to hit pause, recharge your spirit by spending quality time with God. Let's look at Joshua 5. Israel has just crossed the Jordan, which is enemy territory. What do? They stopped all battle plans. Yes, you heard it right. They stopped all battle plans. Their top priority isn't sharpening swords, but renewing their covenant with God. And how? Well, by circumcising all the men. Yeah, circumcision was the sign of the covenant. Look at Genesis 17. Our first priority isn't facing our giant problems, but first seeking God's kingdom, just like Jesus said in Matthew 6. Well, after the circumcision, the Israelites celebrate the Passover party. The lesson again, no matter the chaos, God's covenant comes first. Now, the Passover takes us back to Exodus. Picture it. The angel of death is passing over Egypt, but he skips the Israelite homes because of the lamb's blood on the doorpost. The Egyptian firstborns? Not so lucky. That's what finally convinced Pharaoh to say, just go. For Israel, the Passover meant freedom from Egypt. For us, it means freedom from sin. In Matthew 26, Jesus substituted the Passover lamb to the Holy Supper of bread and wine, which reminds us that one day the redeemed will cross into the heavenly Canaan. So let's just be overwhelmingly grateful for what Jesus did for us on the cross. So Joshua just conquers Ai, and instead of planning the next battle, he builds an altar to God on Mount Abel, again making time to renew Israel's covenant with God. He follows God's instructions from Deuteronomy 11 to the letter. He reads out the blessings and curses with Israel standing on either side of the ark. You know how it goes: obey and be blessed, disobey and be cursed. We've all felt that, right? Joshua's real mission wasn't just claiming land, it was leading people to obey God. His attitude points us to Jesus, who fulfilled every requirement for us. So when we choose to follow him, we get to rest in the peace of salvation. Now, that's a win. Read Joshua 8 verses 32 through 35. Joshua, despite all the danger, carves out time to do what God commanded. He writes a copy of the law of Moses on plastered stones and reads it aloud to everyone. He sets up half the people in front of Mount Abel for the curses and the other half in front of Mount Gerizim for the blessings. The message was simple: obedience brings blessing, but disobedience, well, let's just say your week gets a lot harder. Writing the law on stone meant it was permanent, a constant reminder for forgetful people to make God their everything. So, does your busy schedule keep you from carving out time for your Heavenly Father? In Joshua 18, the Israelites paused the whole land grab at Shiloh to build the tent of meeting. The other seven tribes, well, they just had to wait for their property deeds. Once again, they carve out time for God building his tabernacle. God himself stated he wanted to live with them in Exodus 25 and Leviticus 26. The sanctuary was a divine memo. I made your victory possible, and my presence is a blessing for you and a billboard for the nations. Check out Genesis 12. Today, the world tries to sever our connection with God, but our focus is to be an heaven sanctuary where Jesus is ministering right now. See Hebrews 6, 9, and 10. And soon, if we stay faithful, God will take us home and we will live with him forever. Look up Revelation 21. So, are you longing for God's presence? I mean, right this minute? In Patriarchs and Prophets, page 500, Ellen White notes that Israel built a stone monument on Mount Abel plus an altar for sacrifices. She reminds us that without Jesus' atonement, we'd all be facing God's wrath. Then in Desire of Ages, page 659, she says we shouldn't bring our sin lamenting to the Lord's Supper. The crying and repenting, do that first. When we come to the table, we come celebrating the joyful salvation Jesus gave us. Don't forget to subscribe and join us for your weekly dose of Holy Homework.